Hello and welcome to another edition of CSC Chat. I'm your host, Ethan Stray. Joining me today is none other than Wilson Yee, who is a multi-talented student athlete here at Chadron State College. Currently enrolled in the business program with an intended graduation date of spring 2025. Wilson, thank you for joining me today.
Ethan, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, a bit of a broad question to start, but just for context, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from. How did you end up at CSC? What are your favorite things to do? Things of that matter.
I grew up in Littleton, Colorado. Graduated of Mullen High School. From there, went to the United States Air Force Academy for a semester. Half a semester, I guess, but things at the Air Force Academy didn't work out, so I went to a junior college in southeast Kansas, called Independence. After Independence, went off to Kent State in Ohio for a summer, battled some injuries, and then took the year off. That would have been the fall of 2021. Went back to Independence in 2022. 2023, came to Chadron State, pretty much solely to play football. And it's been an incredible journey, and I'm excited to finish out one more year here.
Now let's first get into football. How did you get into football, and was it always a sport that you had loved, or did you kind of just stumble upon that skill set and translate it over to football, if at all?
Yeah, well, I wanted to play soccer. I was a soccer guy, and I wasn't gonna cut it, at the college level, because really my primary goal was getting in the Air Force Academy, like I'd mentioned, which I did accomplish, but and things didn't work out, unfortunately. But that's neither here nor there, So when soccer wasn't working out, my father actually kind of pointed out to me, said, "Hey, go try and kick a football, go try and do football," and I took it as a joke at first. I thought it was just a joke. I'd never be a football player. I never even fathomed stepping on a football field, but. It's kind of how it worked out. I didn't really get recruited to play football. I kind of put myself out there my sophomore year, and then halfway through my sophomore season, I'd quit soccer because, like I said, soccer was just never going to happen. I wasn't that guy. But I'd had a motivation from the beginning for football, and I'd always had that feeling that was the path I needed to take.
Did you do any other sports in high school besides football? And I know you mentioned soccer a moment ago. And how did that skill set really translate over?
Like I did play soccer, like I said. From a concept of, without getting too technical here, from a concept of ball striking, it translates very well. Learning how to actually just strike the ball and not like push your foot through it and things like that. That translated well. But the things like the body position, the way your ankles have to roll, the plant feet, and all the precision, those slight precise details about kicking a football is more comparable to a golf swing. So I would say yes and no, it translated. I think, obviously, having played soccer growing up and through my early years of high school, had been kicking and ball striking with my feet for quite some time, and that definitely helped me out when I decided to make that transition. But on top of soccer, my martial arts background also helped me out with kicking and athletics in general. I was a competition fighter for a brief amount of time in my early teenage years and before that. Mostly in the disciplines of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so no striking arts, but grappling arts and things like that. But when it comes to flexibility, mobility, and bodily control, I think that is one of my greatest foundations athletically that has translated into help me kick footballs.
Back onto the sport of football, if you didn't play kicker, what other positions besides punter do you think you could play, and why?
I have no idea. I didn't grow up, like I said, I didn't grow up playing football and things like that. I had some high school coaches jeer at me sometimes and say, "Oh, you need to get in there at safety or defensive back or things like that," because I know it doesn't look like it, but I enjoy lifting weights, and I was got to a point when I was 15, 16, 17 years old that I was throwing some pretty decent weight around for someone who was just a kicking specialist, and they kind of jeered at me and said, "Get in there and get on the corner depth chart," but to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about football, outside of kicking and ST and special teams, so. And I'll just be blatantly honest with you. I would be thrown in the river upstream with no paddle. So, but I really don't know. I guess DB or safety, because that's what I was told.
You currently hold the record for the longest CSC field goal ever made at 61 yards. Can you take us through a little bit of that, and what did it feel like to hit something that even most pros have trouble with? Did you know you had broken the record right then, or did you kind of learn it like after the game?
No, I learned it. I'd known what the record was, and I don't really think about those things in that moment. Coach Wong says, "Hey, let's go kick a field goal," and I was like, "Okay, let's go kick a field goal. That's what I'm here to do." Now, obviously, I mean, I had a lot of things helping me. I had a little breeze in my back. Things were, but on top of that, like things were really clicking that pregame and that week before in practice. So I was in a really supreme mental state to do that for sure. That was really one of the best games I think I'd ever prepared for. Hopefully, it showed. And that was just a moment I'll take with me for my entire career. Like, there's not a lot of kickers, maybe the top 1% that can say, yeah, I hit a 61-yard field goal in a game. Anything from 50 and beyond is like, you're in good shape. I think Adam Vinatieri's career long was 57, something like that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the only one that can do that, but I think it puts me in a pretty decent spot, and that's something that I'll take with me out when football's over, because I don't like to admit it, but at some point football is going to be over, whether or not I have a nice long career or not. And that's something that was definitely a life-defining moment for me. It was really it was a terrific thing, and I'm appreciative of all the people around me that put in the work to make that opportunity a reality.
And speaking more on football, do you have any aspirations of going pro in any sense? Doesn't have to be the NFL, but even if it's UFL, CFL, Arena League, do you have any interest in that?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. I at this time in my life, I don't see myself doing anything different. Obviously, there comes a time when I have to come back to earth and say, I have to maximize all the skills that I think God has given me to, put forth towards the people of this earth. And if one of those ends up being my career, that's great. But right now, I don't see myself doing anything other than kicking footballs to make a living. And I would really love to do that. I'm super endowed with what I do. I love my discipline. I love everything about what I do. Even the good days, the bad days, I lay down at night and I say, well, I got to kick football again today, so it can't really be that bad. So to summarize the question, yeah, I have full intentions on looking for an opportunity at the next level after this coming season at Chadron State.
Now, switching gears here, we said you're a multi-talented student, and we want to emphasize that. I've been led to believe you are also a skilled pianist. How did that come about, and were you always into music, or was it something that you just picked up?
I grew up listening to music. My father had introduced me to things that are very rhythmically and sonically difficult, complex, And I'm pretty sure the first thing I ever listened to was an Allman Brothers record. So I loved music growing up. And when I was, I think, 16 or 17, shortly after I'd started playing football, I don't exactly remember how, but I had a keyboard, a little 73 key keyboard that I was just starting to figure things out on, and I had no intention of, and I still don't, I'm not going to be burning down the Lincoln Center anytime soon, that's for sure. But I was just picking things out, and I could hear these different melodies, and I could hear the distinction in the pitches, the 12 different pitches of the octave. And I just kept going. I said, oh, before I knew it, I could play Stormy Monday, and I did my best Greg Allman impression or something like that. So it never dawned on me to take any kind of formal music education until I got here to Chadron, where now I'm actually a music minor, which is a really, really challenging experience, because it's forced me to kind of put a block on everything I'd taught myself, go back to square one and try to incorporate the two. It's been very, very difficult for me, but I'm appreciative of that opportunity for sure. I'm appreciative of all the opportunities that have been given here. And I'd love to play music for the rest of my life. That's something I don't think I'd love to do professionally. It's something that I really want to keep fun, want to keep a hobby, and want to keep to be enjoyable. Which is why I really do enjoy doing the open mics at the Bean, and playing at the Bean, and playing at the Ridge, or playing wherever. It's kind of how I want to keep that in my life. But no, music's a great thing. I think Dwayne Allman said it best. He said there's many forms of communication, but music is the one that's absolutely most pure.
There are a lot of athletes who are skilled in the arts as well. Kirk Cousins, former quarterback for the Vikings, now with the Atlanta Falcons, is also a talented singer. Justin Tucker, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, sings opera. Do you think there is a lot that translates from sports over to music, or in vice versa? And if so, what do you think are the most important things?
Personally, I think being able to exercise your brain musically translates into every aspect of your life, because it's one of the only things that psychologically has been screened. And they say, well, when a musician is playing, or a singer is singing, fill in the blank, there's all parts of the brain that are firing. There's not just one, like a mathematician's part of the brain when they're performing equations. You can kind of pinpoint that in what's going on up here. But so far, when psychologists have analyzed the musician's brain, they see fireworks, more or less. And this is kind of something I've been studying up a little bit on. So that leads me to believe that if you can exercise your brain musically, no matter what the level of musical ability you have, which mine I would say is really pretty moderate, and I think that ends up translating into every other part of your life. Because when I started playing music, like, I know a lot of thinking channels in my brain I was quicker, I felt sharper, I felt like I could answer questions better on the fly, I felt like I could have conversations like this that were meaningful, not a waste of time. I could say exactly what I needed to say and nothing more and nothing less. So again, to summarize, I think the practice of music spills over in every other part of your life, for sure. And I think everyone should at least give it a shot.
To follow up on that, do you think that there is any sort of a stigma surrounding the overlap of athletics and arts? If so, why do you think so many people believe that the two are so different or contrasting?
Because it both can be very time-consuming. So no doubt, athletics, especially in college, are very time-consuming, and practicing for your respective discipline in the arts is also very time-consuming. And the stigma, I think, comes from the idea of young people not having a lot of time to do either, which is why I think everyone in life has a different level of importance, for sure. And like, I knew for me that music was not going to be that it wasn't going to be the umbrella of my life, so I kind of used it as a supplement to the rest of my life. Just like I take supplements physically, you take supplements mentally, and I think music is the greatest, for me, has been the premier mental supplement.
What are some of your favorite songs to play, or some of your favorite bands or genres to listen to? I've been led to believe you're a connoisseur of classic rock or the blues, but what else and why do you like the particular music?
Like I said, it's just what I grew up on, and I don't have brothers and sisters, so I didn't get introduced to any kind of popular music until I went to school. And even at school, you don't really get introduced to popular music amongst your peers, at least from my observation, until you're getting like middle school, early high school. And by then, my musical foundation had kind of been set. So like I said, I love the Southern rock bands, the Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker Band, Leonard Skinner, classic rock bands like Foghat. I've been getting a lot of Foghat lately. And like I say, old blues musicians like Elmore James, Muddy Waters, I'm trying to think, Willie McTell, and, Sonny Boy Williamson. But I also got into jazz when I started playing. I play in the jazz band here at CSC as well. So early jazz musicians like Coltrane and Davis also kind of have formulated my musical background, my musical foundation, for sure.
Do you play in any ensembles here on campus, or do you play anywhere else, perhaps some freelance works of sorts?
Yeah, I play in our jazz band here at CSC. Just so we perform here real shortly. I don't know exactly when and where off the top of my head, but I do. I'm in our jazz band for this semester, and I host open mic night at Bean Broker every Wednesday night this rest of the semester, and we're formalizing some plans for the summer and the fall, so keep an eye out for that, but I'll be hosting that for as long as I'm here. So that's pretty much it for right now. Like I say, I try to want to keep it fun and entertaining, and if people enjoy it, that's great. And that's kind of where, if I can satisfy those two things, my musical goals have been accomplished.
That is all the time that we have here today. I would like to extend a big thank you to Mr. Wilson Yee. And Wilson, is there anything else you'd like to say? Perhaps do a bit of a self-promotion or a plug?
Come see us at the Bean every Wednesday night, and then this fall come out and see us. We got 7 home games next fall. We open with Kearney, so we'd love to see you. And yeah, that's kind of the umbrella of my life. So come out and see us play football, and come out and go out to the Bean and have a good time. Grab a beverage, grab a meal. We always have a good time in there, so we'd love to see you.
People of Chadron in particular and the world in general, I thank you for your viewership and encourage you to join us on the next episode of the CSC Chat.